Guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today's guest is Andrew Erickson, and today we're going to be talking about leveraging cash flows and the type of finances for your business. I know one of the biggest things at the moment with people looking to scale, and one of those difficult things is sitting on top of a nice pile of cash, especially if you've got products that are high velocity or you're working with expensive products, expensive landing costs. Andrew, is this the first or the second time you on the show?
This is my first time on your show, Danny. So I appreciate the invite.
No worries. Do you want to give the audience some background on yourself?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Andrew Erickson, like Danny said. I host the Amazon Conversations podcast. We won number 2 in your seller poll, Danny. I know.
Congratulations.
You won position 0 because you were polite enough to take yourself out of the running. So I appreciate you.
You can't run on awards and then hand trophies to yourself. That'd be a fucking joke. Sorry about that. The whole point is to celebrate the community, not like that's why Branded by Women, Seller Sessions Live, none of that's involved. It's not about us, it's about the community. So yeah, you get hung as well in this industry. Could you imagine handing out awards to yourself?
Yeah.
But anyway.
And then I want to say, like, before I talk about myself, I think I want to talk about you for a little bit. I think I just really appreciate all the community service you do for our community. And I can tell you really do care about the audience. You care about this whole like seller community. Because I know a lot of people who know you outside of this professional setting too, and they all say you're just a really stand-up guy. And every time I've ever interacted with you, you've always been just amazing. So I just want to give you like a nice little round of applause for being so great.
At the end of the day, look, you just do what you do, right? I love what I do, so I enjoy it, and if it benefits everyone else, it's fantastic as well. So no, thank you very much. But let's talk about you. The show's about you.
Yep. So I host the Amazon Conversations podcast. I've been selling on Amazon for 6-7 years. I do, if you combine my brands together, I do multiple 7 figures a year in revenue. I'm based in San Diego, California. Although I have lived a digital nomad lifestyle for the last few years. And so my wife and I actually hit 32 countries in a single year last year, but it was before quarantine. And so we are a little more anchored now to our home in San Diego because we have a little baby. And she is little baby Eliza's 11 months old. So I'm very excited about that. I'm also a coach leader inside of the Titan Network. I know you've had a few Titans on here before, like Kata Phipps and a few other people, Athena Severi. So I've been running a business for a couple of years and for better part of a decade. And one of the things that I talked to you, Danny, about what kind of stuff you want me to come on and talk about. And one of the things I've talked to a lot of sellers about is financing, in particular, like how to think about cash and how to secure financing. Just because it's a big, huge pain point that a lot of people have in this industry.
Agreed. Just a quick one, going to the comments here. Look, this is how raw we are with the show. Kata Phipps. Thank you, Kata. Deep down, he's actually an a-hole, Andrew. So you said all those nice things about the beginning, but Kat has come back and said I'm effectively an asshole. So there you go. Right, let's get on with the show.
Oh, is she referring to me or you?
No, she's saying no, Danny's actually an asshole. Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go.
There you go. This is how raw we keep it. We read out all the negative comments as well. Anyway. So yeah, let's get back into cash flow. You've got about 6 or 7 points of cash flow options that we're going to talk about. Right. Yeah,
and I love talking tactics. I love talking about here's the 3 steps you can do to hit the one thing perfectly, right? But I think tactics are great to learn stuff that we can do today. But I also like talking about strategies. What's the mindset around the stuff, and how do we think about these things? And I think it's better to kind of know sort of like the philosophy and the strategies behind it, rather than just kind of like do these 3 things and you can rank better, or you can get more money, or whatever it is. So I'd love to hit on a couple of those things too on strategies. So I guess to kind of jump into strategy stuff with cash flow, there's a mantra that I have. Don't let cash get in the way of a good deal. And so the thing is that when you understand this business and you understand this model and you have a team and you have a good brand, and even if you don't have a brand or a team yet, if you understand the business model, this business model can be very profitable. And this is a quote good deal that we have going on here. So if you don't have that $5,000, that $50,000, or $500,000 that you need to grow your business, you should not let that cash get in the way of growing your business. And that's one thing that makes me sad is when I see all these people who are super smart, well educated, and have some sort of educated, meaning in the like street smart educated, and eager and willing to go, but they're just stuck not having cash. So that's why I want to let's not let cash get in the way of a good deal. A big thing that helps me a lot, again, this is back to strategy, is doing a 12-month plan. I actually plan out 15 months. And the reason why I do that is I do it quarterly. And I figured if I plan out 15 months, and I get to the end of the quarter, I still have a 12-month plan always ready to go. And I plan out inventory and cash, every single SKU, estimate every single order I'm going to do for 12 months, how much cash I'm going to need, and just plan all that stuff out. Now, do my plans actually come to fruition? Like 10 months from now, am I actually going to hit that?
Barely.
Place that same?
Barely. You still got a plan, but you got to realize it's going to go sideways, or it goes a good way, or to the left, to the right. I've never seen a business plan, let alone cash flow. I've never seen a business plan get executed and it was 100% right. That's why you iterate through the process. But you need to know what you're doing. You need to have a compass and guide. And then obviously you fix any of the luck variables, shall we call them, in between.
Exactly. And but just having that vision of where I'm going to be going a year from now and 3 years from now, especially like very concrete plan of like, here's where we're likely to go in 12 months. That's just really important, just for the really practical things. Like, okay, I know I'm going to have a cash constraint 7 months from now when I start planning Christmas out. And so I have 7 months to figure out how to secure $80,000 in cash or $250,000 in cash and make sure I can get to that Christmas order. So that's just a strategy. Okay, now let's go ahead and jump into. I have 7 things marked out here, and some of them are really easy, and some are a little bit more involved. And so I'll just go quickly through the kind of the boring ones.
Yeah.
So I guess the first one, just use your own money. If you have cash, just use your own cash. That one's I just start the conversation out with that one just to kind of say like, I mean,
that's the obvious one. I mean, most of the listeners here are more advanced. They're using their own cash, but for new guys starting out, is obviously using your own cash or teaming up with people, so it dilutes the risk factor. But I want to go back into the point as well. A lot of the time when people get paralysis, especially new sellers, it's not necessarily if they can't find a product. It's just that the fact that the money that they have set aside is they're not willing to set fire to that. Like, it means too much to them. Therefore, on a psychological level, it's very difficult for them to select a product because they want to be perfect. They want to hit it first out the gate, or there's no room to mistake because the budget they have, they've only got one rodeo to do. So that becomes part of the problem as well with paralysis as well, is what is your what is your attachment to this money? Can you set fire to this money? This is what I say to people. Unless you can set fire to this money, then that's not an investment. That becomes a liability because you actually need that money. You've got to be willing to set fire to it. That's what will free you to move forward in terms of putting up boundaries.
Exactly. I love that, Dan. You have to be able to take risk. And if you don't have a risk appetite, then maybe you shouldn't be running a small business because there are some risks involved with this. And one thing with in terms of losing money, one thing is just to let me sleep a little better at night. I never consider myself to have lost money. I consider myself to have paid tuition, right?
You win or you learn.
Yeah. You're going win or you learn. I love that. Win or learn. I'm going to steal
that. So that kind of covers your own savings. Bootstrap, obviously that's going to restrict your growth. It depends on how fast you want to go. Now, let's think of it this way, right? Everyone wants to grow fast, right? And they're seeing people around them. So this whole Instagram, Facebook lifestyle, they see that top 3 to 7% of what everyone else is doing. And that's what they want to ascertain. They want to get there super, super fast. I've always been a belief is that you play the long game. And it doesn't mean that's suitable for everyone, but I think that's where people get tripped up as well. You don't necessarily scale like a rocket ship. If you're going to scale like a rocket ship, you need to know your numbers. You need to know what you're doing. And if you're going to go out and get external money, then it's better that you know how to do this over and over again before you go and get those funds to do so. But what I'm trying to say is there is no reason why you've got to keep up with the Joneses. Don't worry about what people are doing on Clubhouse and what you're seeing on Facebook and the willy waving and stuff like that. Do you. Make sure you get it right, and every day is a bit of progress. So go at the speed that is relevant to you.
Yep, I love that, Danny. And so cash flow and bootstrapping, I think a lot of people kind of know what those are, so that we'll go past those ones quickly. Okay, the third one on my list here, this is honestly, I think, the most important and the best option you have for financing, and that is supplier terms. And so what the idea is, just pay your supplier later. That's it. That's the whole
the trouble with that, you've got to get there. You've got to gone through the stage of your own cash, external cash, savings, bootstrap, or wherever you've done it. The only way you're going to get terms, not the only way, but 9 times out of 10, the only way to get terms is to sit down face to face, open book with the factory. Very rarely you're going to get that across the phone.
Yeah,
you're not going to be able to phone someone and say, give me 60 grand, even 60 grand's worth of stock, which is a drop in the ocean if you're trying to do Q4. So in order to get terms, we know that you've got to have catered for the early parts already.
Yeah, and I tell people you can always ask on the first. I suggest don't ask on the first time you talk to a supplier. What you want to do is have at least 3 orders, or have a year-long relationship, a year of purchasing, or have met them in person, and place an order, not just meet them at the Canton Fair and just say, "Hey, can you float me $100,000 on my next order?" And honestly, the big reason why this is so beneficial is because there's a couple of things. You get credit right when you need it. A lot of banks want you to just take out $150,000 loan today and pay back 1% every month for the next 10 years or whatever. That's fine. That's what the bank likes, but that doesn't work well for our business, because we need, when you're planning that Q4 order and you have $100,000, $250,000 order for Q4 like that, you just need the money maybe in October through January, right? And you get your big Christmas bonus, and then you can pay off that loan. Well, taking that big loan out and having a 3-year payment term doesn't work very well for our businesses. And so you get the cash right when you need it, because you really need the cash to pay your supplier. So you just ask your supplier for a little bit of credit. And so the way we do it here, if you're taking notes at home, here's the way we do it. First of all, you need to have that relationship. You need to place at least 3 orders, a 1-year-long relationship. I think those are kind of like sort of bare minimums. It's medium in person too. Again, going back to the thing I said earlier, the 12-month plan, we tell the supplier, hey, we are doing great. You know how much we're selling because you know how much we're ordering, and we have this brand. We have all these great things we're doing. We have enough cash that we can pay for everything coming up. But if you want us to grow, if you want to grow with us as a partnership, we need some seller financing. And we here's what happens if we have to pay the 30% down and 70% on a day that the order's done. Here's what our growth trajectory looks like. Here's our 12-month plan with those terms. Here is what it looks like if we have 60-day payment terms: 20%, 30% down, 70%, 80%, 60 days after production finishes. Here's what our growth trajectory looks like. And so you need to do a 12-month plan for yourself anyways, but you share that plan with the supplier and you get them really excited and get them bought into your plan as a partnership.
Do you know the benefit of that as well? Phenomenal QC. Who in their right mind who's going to run a factory, give credit to someone overseas, and then ship them a load of junk because they haven't taken care of inspections in the factory? So effectively, although you're going to bring in external QC because that's just standard, they are going to make sure that these products are top notch, because they know once they're left the port. This has always been the advantage when you're working with Chinese companies that you've paid up front, or you've paid in 2 installments. But after receiving the goods, they're paid. They're like, sorry, we'll take it off your next order. That gives you leverage as well. So terms is I would say is the greatest way of scaling your business with a factory, that reduces those things in terms of a lien on your property, your home, etc. Is definitely, that's the pinnacle, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And so, like you said, you really get them to be integrated into your business. The other thing too is that when you go to sell these private label businesses, which I know is a pretty hot thing to do right now, we are actually kind of sort of beginning of an exit right now. All these buyers are talking to us. They're asking, what kind of terms do you have with your supplier? And it is a huge benefit to the buyer of your company to have these kind of terms for the same reason why it's a benefit to us. It's a benefit to the buyer. They don't have to float that 100,000, whatever, 50,000, $250,000 order for as long because of the same thing. So generally these, and of course, nothing's perfect, but generally these supplier terms will transfer to a buyer, and that can be a huge benefit for when you go to sell your private label business.
Yeah, indeed. What else we're going to get into? Cards, and we've covered. Yeah, in the US, what is the loan structure like that with the banks over in the US? I mean, I have no idea because I don't do bank loans, but
sure.
I've always found institutions like that, they want to lend you money when you've got money. As soon as you've got, whether it's savings or a business savings account, whatever, the money is all available. When you haven't got a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of, they want you home.
Yep, you're right, Danny. And that's why a lot of people suggest that you raise money when you don't need it, because people love giving you money if you don't need money. If you're in trouble and you really need that extra little bit to get by, then all of a sudden, I don't want to take your meeting. I don't want to sign a loan document with you. And so that's one thing we can dive into is your traditional lending. That's generally what they want to see is kind of when you don't need the money. So I if you can't tell, I'm an American by my accent. One thing that we have here in the States that I know isn't exactly the same other places, but I'll talk about other places here in a second. In the US, we have the SBA, and it's the Small Business Administration. It's government-backed loans, and it's just a special financing thing, whatever. So if you are US based, I believe they do it for US based companies. You don't actually have to be a US citizen. You can get an SBA loan. Those things are fantastic. We actually have an SBA loan that's a line of credit. So we have $150,000 line of credit. It's really cheap. It's like 7%. We only pay interest when we use it. We only ever actually haven't used it for like almost 2 years now, but we only ever use it usually kind of get through a few Q4 things. And then those kind of traditional bank loans, those are all over the place. So wherever you're based, just go talk to a traditional lender and they can be really good to finance your growth.
What else we've got? Let's have a look through your notes here. So special FBA niche lenders. I mean, we just see Tim Jordan flash up. He does a lot of work with sellers funding. What have you got down here? We've got.
Yeah, I have some. So I've never used any of these, so I can't personally attest to them. I just have talked to a lot of people who have talked to these people and have used them and have had good experiences. So there's traditional banks, Bank of America or the just these Wells Fargo, these Chase, these very large banks everyone kind of knows about. There's also these special niche lenders. One of them is Plastic, but Plastic is with a Q at the end. They do inventory financing. Flexport is my freight forwarder. They've offered me financing. AccrueMe.com. They have some pretty cool kind of like profit share financing. So there's just a lot of these things out there. Maybe we could get another list of like, we could maybe put more in the notes later or something.
I'll put them in the show notes later. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, we've got the niche lenders. I mean, if Tim wants to comment, I don't know if he's still watching, but yeah, they're because this is a lot of them as well. They're structured in different ways, but a lot of the benefits of those people that are not 15, 16, where a lot of people will get in daily payouts, and it's obviously every 2 weeks, but it's bridging that time between having funding there in terms of supporting your business when you're going through a heavy run of inventory. You might have got some stock stuck, etc. So you end up getting into a jam. But it's great as like a bridging gap. But it becomes difficult when you're nil by mouth on a monthly basis. If you're using the bridging companies, which are brilliant, it can get expensive over time if you're not careful.
Yeah, and exactly. That's a great point, Danny. A lot of these companies, their niche, you know how they say riches are in the niches? Well, in this case, it's the same thing, but the riches are high interest rates, effective high interest rates to us sellers. So just be really mindful, whatever they're charging you, just kind of compare that to a traditional bank loan, because some of these interest rates are like insane. So, but they can be really useful. So if you might be paying 20%, the equivalent 20% interest, but only for 2 months. That's not that much money, right?
Well, just be mindful. I won't say the name of the company. There was a company wanted to sponsor one of my events, and I said, "Look at these rates." I gave them to Ellis. Obviously, Ellis is a data scientist, right, and an algorithm expert. And I went, "Am I going mad or is this? I think it was 168. It was just out of control, astronomical.
Yeah.
And he said, "This is like daylight robbery." And I'm like, "No, I'm not having them sponsoring one of our events. You know, someone turns up and gets bridging loans off them." I thought, no. And
exactly.
That's yeah. So it's not no one. I don't know if anyone really knows of them. There, this was a couple of years ago now, but you do have to look at the fine print with this stuff. But that's your risk. You're in business, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. So just be mindful of it. And you guys are all smart. And everyone listening to this is smart. So just kind of like write down, see how much the interest rate is, and see if it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
The next one I have here are credit cards. So they're again, playing with credit cards is like playing with snakes. They can be dangerous, but they can also be really, really useful. So I'll tell you my strategy with using credit cards, and I can tell you other strategies of like kind of proper financing. What I do with a credit card is just I put all my PPC costs on a credit card. It's free to do that, or free. It's free in the terms of like Amazon doesn't charge extra to put those expenses onto a credit card. We now control our PPC costs. We also have like kind of another little break point in case we like spend too much on PPC. It's just the card's there, right? But the big thing is you get cash back benefits from these. And so this last year, we had about $11,000 to $12,000 in cash back benefits from our credit cards. And we actually added that back into our to our business income, right? Some people don't declare the credit card income because it's kind of like, it's not really income. It's like a reduced expense. Or, I don't know, I'm not an accountant. But we added it back in as business profit because it's business, it's income, right? Yeah. Or it's whatever. And now that we're exiting our company, we're actually going to get a 4x multiple on those credit card points. Yeah. So I just like, this thing just blew my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, I got $10,000 from my credit card, and now I'm getting like another like 3-4x on this number. So by playing this credit card game, we ended up making tens of thousands of dollars. Now I can tell you again, this is a little bit US based, but I also have information for UK and some other places as well. If you are looking for the best credit card for US based people and US based businesses, if you're US based, if you have a US based corporation, the one that I found is the best is the Chase Inc. Business Preferred. Again, I pay it off every single month. In fact, I think we pay twice per month just to make sure we don't pay any interest on it. And that gives you about 3% cash back. So if you spend $250,000 on advertising, 3% of that is whatever, $7,000-8,000, right? So it's a good chunk of money. That's cash money that gets sent into gets dropped into your checking account. Amex Gold Business Card is really good, and the Capital One Spark Cash Card is really good. So just double check. Again, be mindful of credit cards, but they can be really useful if you use them correctly.
If you're disciplined, like if you're super disciplined with this stuff, it works for you. It's like it's like fire, right? You can either burn your hands in it or you can cook your food. It's your choice. It depends on where your discipline sits. So, and obviously you've got air miles that no fucker can use it at the moment. So there are other benefits that spin off business credit cards if you can actually tap in and utilize them.
We can use them in June, though, to come to Supplier Sessions Live, though, right?
Did you notice how you slipped that little plug in there? All right, let's do the plug-in, back to the content. What else is there? So we covered that card there. You said, is it the Chase Inc. business?
Yeah, Chase Inc. is the best for that's the best I found. I mean, maybe there's others that are great out there.
And there's also Amex Gold or Amex Gold, Cap One Spark Card. What's the difference between these two?
They're minor little terms of services and stuff. I think that the Chase card is like $99 a year annual fee, but you get 3% cash back. I think Amex is like $250. It's just little things like that, a couple $100 here and there. They're all pretty similar though, honestly. And then there's a moneysavingsexpert.com has a really good article for US or for UK based people. And maybe we could drop that link in the comments. Yeah. And I just was someone UK based shared that with me. And then with credit card, again, be careful with credit cards, but there are credit cards you can get that are no interest for like a year. And if you're looking to, the many suppliers will take credit cards. So you can get your 1-2% kind of like miles back or your cash back on your cards and not pay interest for a year. It can help a lot of people get through that last like $30,000, $50,000 in credit needs. So it is definitely an option there. If you need that last little bit just to get by, just to get that Q4 order in, it can be really useful.
Yeah. Investors, I think, is next, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Friends and family. No. Seriously, no. Unless it's a friends and family thing, they know what they're doing. They've been in business before, right?
Yeah.
They completely understand the rules of engagement, and they actually say themselves, look, this is my risk. If it all goes tits up, no hard feelings. Because if you've got to face them at family functions and stuff, the friends and family things where it goes wrong is when someone takes a part of their savings, is just clocked in on a 9 to 5, has never run a business before. They're going to be the worst investors in your business. This is the part of that you get where people raise fund. It's called a party round, where everyone chucks money in. And then when it comes down to sit down and talk with the investors end of year, you're dealing with all of these different personalities and backgrounds. And it's really tough to manage that. So I definitely advise against having friends and family who do not run a business, have run a business, and can afford to burn that cash, because that will just be, it's a nightmare, because you ain't going to want to face them at family functions when things are not going well. When it's going right, it's fantastic. But we know what Amazon is like. So I say that's the highest risk strategy on a relationship basis is close friends and family.
Exactly. And what you said with the relationship, that's a great point, Danny, there. And the thing with when you're taking a loan out, usually you're using collateral, something that someone can take if you don't pay the loan back. So if you take out a mortgage, your collateral is your home. If you take out a business loan, often your collateral is your inventory or your trademark or something like that. And when you take out loans or investments with friends and family, you're collateralizing relationships. So you have to know that if you don't pay back that loan, what the collateral is destroying the relationship. So you do have to be very, very mindful of it. But there can be some options where you kind of have that uncle who's super into like investing, or the cousin or the college roommate or something like that. And again, everything you said, Dan, I completely agree with. You have to be really mindful of it. And that's one thing I do have to say at the very beginning. I did take smaller loans, small 5-figure loans from family for some stuff. And the big thing, if you do this, is to write every single thing down. Clear contracts, clear terms, clear who does what, when, where, and how.
Yeah, without doubt. Then on the upside is angel investors and third-party business owners who are happy to invest in the business. That's a different story. They understand the background. They understand the context. Yes. If they're not close friends as well, it becomes a business relationship between consenting adults, knowing that if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. It was their risk as well.
Exactly. Yep. Very good point. So I think that's a really good point, Danny, that you just to re-harp on it. Find people, friends and family who are businessy, who understand risk and stuff. Yeah.
Go on.
So there's some interesting ways to do these partnerships too, to structure these things. Of course, there's a traditional loan. Just give me $50,000 and I'll pay you back 8% interest, right? Just the boring kind of like what standard loan, right? There's also these really creative ways where you can tie the performance of a certain ASIN to someone's investment. What you can do is share the profits of a product in a single year to the performance of this ASIN. And you would do proper little P&L, kind of an ASIN-based P&L. There's lots of software that can help you do that kind of stuff. And you should be doing that stuff anyways to monitor your profitability per SKU.
Sell a legend
Exactly. If you do that, you can tie that performance to that one person, so the performance of that ASIN to that one person's investment. And there's some really creative things you can do there just to kind of like mitigate risk. And then that person has a lot more clear understanding of like what they're doing and what they're getting involved in.
Well, we've got a mutual friend that is in the, I try not give him away, but he leveraged his business based on ASINs, and he took performances. So he had various different investors based on the ASINs, and he showed them, this is your return on investment, or this is the category they're in. This is how it performed before. I'd like to take your money on this product here with your blessing. This is what we'd like to do. Here's our track record. And people are like, yep, I can do that, because the return on investment was much better than what they could foresee in stocks and stuff, because commerce is, right? It's a better form. as long as there's some data there to back it up. Nothing's perfect, but that's how he scaled his business before he went on to using the supply chain to build.
Yep. And I like that the showing your track record. That's one way to get really good investors, is to have a good investor track record. And so kind of showing like, hi, I'm a person who takes money from investors. Here's what I've done in the past, and here's how I return money to the investors. Everyone knows that there's risk, but here's what I've done in the past. Now, how do you get started with that? If you don't have history, you kind of have to figure it out.
It's based on sales. It's not equity in the business. It's purely down to, you're investing in this ASIN. Here is the time period that we'll sell this ASIN in. I'll take this money from you now. This is what you should expect. So when you do come to sell, you haven't got a party of investors taking chunks of the business when you go to exit. So you still own it. It's a loan.
Yep, exactly. And also, if you're thinking even bigger than this, you don't have to tie performance to SKUs. You could tie performance to brands. If you're a kind of person who has multiple brands, you can just tie, hey, you want to kick in on this brand. It also works really well for people who have certain expertises. So social media influencers, we have a brand that has a tie-in with a social media. It's not a cash tie-in. It's a influence, but you can kind of bring them in as a partner. That's kind of getting outside the financing stuff, but you can bring these people in as partners on brands.
Yeah.
And what you mentioned there, selling equity. So time performance of ASINs is one way of not selling equity, but of course you could sell equity, right?
Yeah.
And so generally the brands right now are trading for roughly 4x seller discretionary earnings. So 4x EBITDA is another term for that stuff. So if that's the market value for it, you can go out and sell to private equity firms, sell to, again, also the friends and family, or kind of like the investor network, if you have that, and just sell 20% of your company. That's basically what IPO is, or that's what seed funding is. I'm just going to sell you 20% of my company. You give me $1 million.
Yep. I think that pretty much covers most of it. One thing I've got approached on, which is not anything in writing, but someone mooted the idea for me for a new Amazon business, in terms of what we'll do is we'll give you the money, and in 2 years we'll give you a fixed outcome. Now, I don't know what the multiples was, but they were saying, look, it's almost like the Y-Com incubator thing. Raise some cash, you build a team, you deliver on the end product, whether that's a SaaS product. But I think you're going to see more of this in this space, where people will be approached. So maybe it's their second rodeo. They've done an exit and say, hey, look, you want to go again? We'll give you the money to start the business. You build it, and in 2 years, we'll give you a fixed outcome. We'll take it off your hands and scale it.
Yeah.
So I think
awesome.
that will be available a lot more, because I think with the aggregators as well, they're out there buying the first wave, let's say these Amazon businesses, from very small data. Around 60, 70, maybe 80% of people that sell their Amazon business go again. So there's another round of those people which are more experienced. So why not bet on those again and say, hey, we bought your last company. We've got some money to sit in here. We'll give you a fixed outcome. So.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. I love that.
Cool. Anything else we need to cover before we go?
No, that's kind of it. I just want to say again, I want to reiterate what I said at the top of the hour. My mantra with this stuff is don't let cash get in the way of a good deal. So
Indeed.
Make sure if you have these opportunities, make sure to seize them, and don't let cash get in the way of seizing these opportunities.
Cool. What is the best way people can reach you? Don't forget to subscribe to your podcast, Zoncon Podcast. Go through Apple's iTunes and iTunes. Go through Apple and other podcatchers. They'll find you on as well. Yeah, other platforms.
Yep. We post weekly the Amazon Conversations podcast, or ZonCon for short. I'm also a leader inside the Titan Network, so you could anyone's welcome to send me an email if they want. Andrew@titanmembers.com. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. My Instagram handle is the Andrew Erickson. And if you want to see more pictures of my little baby, that's mostly what I post on Instagram. So it's kind of fun.
Cool. Congratulations to fatherhood as well. Year one is nearly upon us. Guys, Sharon Evan will be back in the chair tomorrow. I'll be back next week. Don't forget to check in on Isabella on Monday. Take care of yourself and your family. Much love, and I'll see you again soon.